And what we eat is really our chemotherapy 3 times a day.
Meet Dr. William Li, a world-renowned Harvard-trained medical doctor, researcher, president, and founder of the Angiogenesis Foundation. His work has led to more than 40 FDA-approved therapeutics and devices for cancer, cardiovascular disease, wound healing, and vision loss. He is also a New York Times best-selling author with Eat to Beat Disease: The New Science of How Your Body Can Heal Itself. He also published another book, Eat to Beat Diet: Burn Fat, Heal Your Metabolism, and Live Longer. Feeling tired but want to fuel your body with foods that fight disease? What if the foods that give you energy could also help kill cancer? In this video featuring Dr. Li, we'll reveal 5 delicious B12-rich foods packed with cancer-fighting power. These picks not only boost your energy, but also support your health goals. Stick around until the end, where we reveal how to enjoy all these budget-friendly ideas. Disclaimer: Nutritional yeast. Dr. Li recommends nutritional yeast because it's a powerhouse of vitamin B12 and packed with nutrients that can help protect your body and fight cancer. Often called nooch, this flaky, cheesy-tasting ingredient is a favorite for vegans and health enthusiasts alike. B12 is essential for keeping your energy levels high. It helps your body turn food into fuel and supports healthy red blood cells. Low B12 can leave you feeling sluggish, so sprinkling this on your meals is an easy way to recharge. Plus, its nutty flavor makes everything taste better. What makes nutritional yeast special is its potential to support your body's defenses. According to a review in Frontiers in Nutrition, scientists studied a special substance called B13 glucan, which comes from yeast, a common ingredient in bread. They wanted to see if this substance could help prevent cervical cancer, a type of cancer that affects women. They found that B-glucan can be really good at stopping cancer cells from growing and even making them die. When they tested it on cervical cancer cells called HeLa cells, they discovered that B-glucan caused these cells to produce harmful molecules, which can lead to their death. The study showed that when they used higher amounts of B-glucan, the cancer cells were much less able to survive. This info is exciting because it means a simple pantry staple could do wonders for your health. To use it daily, sprinkle it over popcorn, roasted veggies, or pasta for a savory boost. Look for fortified versions with B12. Just a tablespoon or 2 can meet your daily needs. It's an affordable way to stay energized and strong. Here's a budget-friendly nutritional yeast sprinkle idea you can easily incorporate into your diet. Grab a jar of store-brand nutritional yeast, check bulk bins to save even more. Mix a few tablespoons with a pinch of garlic powder and smoked paprika for extra flavor. Sprinkle it over a baked potato or a bowl of steamed broccoli for a quick, energy-packed meal. You can even toss it on air-popped popcorn for a guilt-free snack. This simple trick adds a cheesy kick, boosts B12, and keeps you feeling vibrant without breaking the bank. Clams in a quick broth. Dr. Li recommends clams because they're one of the richest natural sources of B12 and loaded with benefits that can help fight cancer. Just a small serving of clams delivers way more than your daily B12 needs, giving you a serious energy lift. They're also packed with lean protein to keep you full and focused. That tired, foggy feeling? Clams can help kick it to the curb while nourishing your body from the inside out. Clams stand out because they bring more than just energy. They've got compounds that may support your body's ability to stay healthy. According to a study published in Biomedicines, researchers looked at how extracts from 3 types of New Zealand surf clams can help fight cancer. The researchers tested these clam extracts on 4 different cancer cell types, which are cells that make up certain cancers. They found that the clams could make these cancer cells grow less. For instance, one type of cancer cell, called Widder, which is linked to colon cancer, had its growth reduced a lot when treated with extracts from the clams. In some cases, the extracts made the cancer cells so weak that only a small number were still alive. The study also showed that certain parts of the clams that are rich in healthy fats and proteins were much better at fighting the cancer cells compared to other parts. The clams even caused changes in the cancer cells that are signs they were dying off, which is a good thing if you want to stop cancer from growing. Researchers believe that these clams could be helpful in making new treatments or supplements for people with cancer. This makes them a fantastic choice for anyone looking to power up and protect themselves. You don't need to eat them every day. A small portion once or twice a week can make a big difference. Pair them with simple ingredients like garlic or herbs to keep costs low and flavors high. Here's a budget-friendly clams in a quick broth recipe you can easily incorporate into your diet. Pick up a can of clams from the grocery store. Canned works great and is cheaper than fresh. In a small pot, sauté a clove of minced garlic in a teaspoon of olive oil. Use what's already in your pantry. Add the clams with their juice, a splash of water or low-sodium broth, and a pinch of red pepper flakes. Simmer for 5 minutes, then serve with a slice of crusty bread or over rice. This hearty B12-rich dish is quick, affordable, and leaves you energized for hours. If you found value in this video so far and appreciate the many hours of effort that went into creating it, please consider liking the video and subscribing. Salmon salad.
Well, the latest research actually shows that while the oiliest of oily fish, like the smash fish you just described, the salmon, mackerel, anchovies, and herring, it's true that the oilier it is, the more omega-3s it is. But actually, more recent research shows that you don't, in nature and in physiology for health, more isn't always more. And it turns out that more recent research has shown even a piece of cod, which is considered a not very oily fish, has enough omega-3s to actually do you some good. So if you want to actually enjoy seafood because of the omega-3, don't shy away from having cod, halibut, mussels, even clams, even shrimp actually have omega-3s. And that's one of the things that I wrote about in my book, Eat to Beat Your Diet, are the doses of the foods that may not come across as very oily, but actually have enough to actually improve your metabolism. What does that mean? Well, it turns out when you actually activate your metabolism, you burn down harmful body fat, you can shrink your waistline, your body tube actually gets a little bit tighter, and it lowers inflammation. The key, though, I think what you're talking about is like not everybody enjoys fish. Not everybody's used to eating fish. And part of the reason that we're so deficient in omega-3s, for example, in places like the United States of America, is that people are not just not eating enough seafood, they're not eating enough seafood regularly. So if you compare certain countries like the Mediterranean, where they eat a lot of fish, all right, it adds up the amount of omega-3s that you eat over time. And this is why, some studies, like there's one study of 7,100 individuals living across Italy. It's a country that eats a lot of fresh fish and even tinned fish. The omega-3s build up, and they wind up having lower incidences of inflammatory diseases, including cancer. In fact, it was one study that showed a 34% lower risk of developing colon cancer with avid fish eaters, including tinned fish. However, let's say that's, and about 3 times a week is kind of what you need, but not everybody does it. And so what I try to guide people to do is to say, you can get your omega-3s from eating seafood, got to choose your seafood wisely and hopefully get it sustainably fished. Prepare them in ways that are healthiest, not just, you don't want to take a healthy piece of fish and deep fry it. Now you've turned something healthy into something less healthy. Cook it prepare it in a healthy way. But also, if you wanted to, if you're a vegan or a vegetarian and you want to get it from plants, there's a plant choice. But if you want to make it as easy as possible, and this is something that I actually do myself, I'll take omega-3 supplements because I know that's a way for me to regularly get a dose that will actually help build up those levels in my body. It's that important to me to be able to keep up my omega-3 levels.
Dr. Lee recommends salmon because it's a delicious B12-rich food that fights cancer and keeps your energy soaring. Salmon's got that perfect combo of healthy fats and protein, plus a solid dose of B12 to help your body stay sharp and active. Whether you're powering through a busy day or recovering from a workout, this fish delivers the goods without weighing you down. Salmon shines because it's not just about energy. It's got properties that may help your body fend off disease. According to a review in the American Society for Nutrition, eating salmon can help protect against cancer. The researchers looked at the good things in salmon, like omega-3 fatty acids, which help keep our hearts healthy and reduce inflammation in our bodies. They studied both wild Pacific salmon and farmed Atlantic salmon to see how much of these healthy fats they contained and if there were any harmful chemicals in them. The study found that salmon is good for us because it has important nutrients. However, some farmed salmon can have more harmful chemicals than wild salmon. Even though there are some risks, the good health benefits of eating salmon can outweigh those risks if we choose wisely. For example, Wild salmon is usually a better choice because it has fewer harmful substances. That's why it's such a smart pick. You get a tasty meal that does double duty. Opt for canned salmon to keep it wallet-friendly, or splurge on fresh when it's on sale. Either way, it's a versatile way to feel great. Here's a budget-friendly salmon salad recipe you can easily incorporate into your diet. Grab a can of salmon. Look for sales or store brands to save cash. Drain it, then mix with a tablespoon of mayo or Greek yogurt, a squeeze of lemon juice, and a sprinkle of dill or parsley. Dried works fine. Add some chopped celery or cucumber for crunch if you've got it. Spread it on whole grain toast, or scoop it with crackers for a quick B12-packed meal that keeps you energized and satisfied. Egg scramble with spinach.
Eggs are a breakfast staple. Eggs are healthy. Thumbs up on eggs. They're a great source of protein. They're also a great source of something called choline, choline. Choline is something that your brain needs to signal. If your brain cell wants to signal another cell, it needs choline to do that text messaging. And eggs are also a great source of bioactives called lutein and zeaxanthin. All right, lutein and zeaxanthin. These are great for aging eyes. They protect your vision against a condition called wet macular degeneration, wet AMD, age-related macular degeneration. Most common cause of vision loss over the age of 60. So if you're watching this and you're over the age of 60, you should be having lutein and zeaxanthin. And AMD, macular degeneration, is something that happens because the back of the eye, called the retina, has a nerve carpet. That's the retinal nerves. And underneath that are blood vessels that are feeding those nerves, right? Now, what happens is that you need the retina, the nerve layer, the carpet. It's like an beautiful oriental carpet of nerves that are receiving light. So light outside enters the eye through your cornea, goes right through all the clear stuff, right through the lens, and gets focused onto the retina. Now you're seeing what I'm seeing. The light's coming right in, and that nerve layer gets turned on, and it sends the electrical signal right to your brain. All right, so your retina is kind of an extension of your brain. It's part of your brain. The blood vessels underneath it are nourishing that nerve layer, the retinal blood supply. Now, in age-related macular degeneration, the wet form, wet AMD, those blood vessels get really, really leaky. And you know what happens when blood vessels start leaking? Well, just like a pipe that's bursting underneath your carpet, you get waterlogged. So the water seeps out, it starts to swell up that carpet of nerve layers. Not what you want. And then if the pipe really bursts, okay, and we're not talking about blood vessel bursting, but we're just talking about leakage. Now you've got a pool of water, and that pool of water underneath the carpet of the nerves of the retina in your eye actually causes vision loss. And macular degeneration occurs right in the center part of your vision, all right? So if I were to actually block your vision just like this, all right, now you can't actually see what's in front of you. You can only see the sides. That is what actually happens with age-related macular degeneration. It's completely black in the middle. You can see in the sides. It's not a good thing to have happen. Now, I work in an area called angiogenesis, how the body grows and controls blood vessels. So out of the work that I've done many years ago, we help to figure out how do you block those leaky bad blood vessels that are growing that cause vision loss. So if you have AMD, there are treatments called anti-VEGF treatments or anti-angiogenic treatments. And we're treating VEGF as just one of the growth factors. There are multiple growth factors. There's VEGF, VEGF, there's placental growth factor, PLGF, and there's also another growth factor called ANG2, ANG-2. These are all the things that the retinal specialists, the eye doctors, are now using as tools after macular degeneration has begun, wet AMD has begun. You can treat the eye to try to prevent that the leakiness that causes the vision loss. But I will tell you that huge studies have been done on humans and found that lutein and zeaxanthin, those two bioactives I told you that are present in eggs, that they actually can lower the risk of macular degeneration. So you don't need to have those injections to treat the disease for vision loss, right? Nobody wants to have this. Now imagine my fists were blurry. That's AMD. So you can prevent that. That's a damn good thing. So a clinical study actually showed that eating just one egg a day can raise your blood levels of lutein, one of those beneficial bioactives, by 26%. And 1 egg a day can raise your blood level of zeaxanthin by 38% in older adults. So eggs work to raise these two compounds that are actually have been shown in large clinical studies to lower the risk, the chances of actually having wet AMD. That's what makes eggs really good as we get older. Now, the other thing is that eggs are a good source of vitamin A. A is an atom, and that's important for good vision. We need vitamin A in order to protect our eyes as well. So this is one of the reasons why eggs are actually healthy. Now, I'm going to talk about the myth behind eggs being not healthy in a second. The other thing is that eggs are not bad for the heart. They're actually good for the heart. And I've got to explain this because, when I was growing up, like I mentioned to you, I used to eat scrambled eggs or hard-boiled eggs. My mom would serve those to me. And then all of a sudden, research came out, and it was everywhere, and doctors were saying, don't eat eggs. Eggs are high in cholesterol. Eggs actually are bad for your heart. This started coming out in the 1970s and continued through the 80s. And I'll tell you, way back then, in the scientific Stone Age, compared to where we are today, we didn't know that there was good cholesterol and bad cholesterol. We just thought there was one kind of cholesterol, all right? So that's one of the things we didn't know. And the second thing is that we didn't know how to design clinical trials quite as well as we do now. So back then, where the myth of eggs being bad for your heart and having high in cholesterol and connecting those two happened in clinical studies where they were studying people eating eggs for breakfast, and they were studying whether or not it was connected to or associated with the development of heart disease, right? That's a good thing to study. And what they found when they did sort of a flyby of the results of these studies is that, people who were eating eggs had higher levels of heart disease, so therefore don't eat eggs. Eggs are bad, right? That's where this initial scientific finding actually came from. In fact, the American Heart Association said, don't eat eggs, all right? Eggs are loaded with cholesterol. Well, here's a couple of things they didn't know. Number one, first of all, the people who are in this clinical trial, sure, they were eating eggs. But you know what they were also eating for breakfast, the egg eaters? They were eating bacon, they were eating sausage, they were eating chicken fried steak, they were using butter, they're putting cream in their coffee, they were eating all kinds of other forms of saturated fat. And those things did cause heart disease, but they actually singled out the eating of the egg as being the culprit. So it wasn't the eggs, it was the bacon, it was the sausage, it was the chicken fried steak, all right, it was the butter. And so here's the thing, eggs don't actually raise high cholesterol. In fact, most people, eggs don't raise bad cholesterol at all. And in fact, some people eating eggs raises your good cholesterol as well. Maybe up to about 15% if you eat eggs on a regular basis. So let me recap. Eggs are good for you. Eggs are a great source of protein. Eggs have those bioactives that's good for our vision, key to saving our vision and preventing a disease called macular degeneration. Eggs, even though they do have cholesterol, they don't actually increase our bad cholesterol. In fact, in some people, it increases our good cholesterol. In those old studies that suggested that eggs are not good for your heart, the problem is that they were studying people who are eating eggs, but they were also eating bacon and sausage and all kinds of other forms of saturated fat. And they ignored that, but they pinned the tail on the donkey of the egg, and that was just not the right thing. They caught the wrong guy, all right? And so now we know that eggs, in fact, are a healthy breakfast choice. Now, like everything that I talk about, there's not black and white, good or bad, good versus evil. The God is in the details. So let me kind of give you some of those details. If you want to eat eggs, be moderate about them. I would say eat eggs about 5 times a week, about 5 eggs a week. You don't need to eat them every day. If you want the best eggs, they're going to have the best bioactives in them, try eating pasture-raised eggs, all right? If you got a neighbor or a friend who has hens, chickens, get it from them. You're going to actually have a higher levels of lutein and zeaxanthin. If they're raised in a pasture and the chickens are eating what they should normally be eating in nature, the plants that they're eating, the little seeds that they're eating, they actually contain those bioactives, the lutein and zeaxanthin. And they're also going to have higher levels in pasture-raised chickens who lay eggs. In other words, the eggs from free-range chickens that are eating normally things in the pasture, they're also going to be higher in omega-3s. Now, you know that omega-3 fatty acids are a healthy acid. fatty acid, we normally think about omega-3s coming from seafood. They do come from seafood, but there's a plant-based source of omega-3s as well. And chickens who are eating them actually put those omega-3s in their eggs. Now, here's the benefit, heart-healthy benefit. Omega-3 eggs can lower the level of triglycerides in your blood. Now, in the lipids that your doctor is going to measure during a doctor's visit, they're going to look for blood cholesterol and blood lipids. So cholesterol we talked about, there's good cholesterol and bad cholesterol. How much good cholesterol do you have? You want to have more than the bad cholesterol. You want good cholesterol to be high, you want bad cholesterol to be low, but there's triglycerides, another form of blood lipid or blood fat. And eating omega-3 fatty acids can actually lower those triglycerides. That's really, really important. Another benefit of eggs. So the other thing about eggs, I'll just tell you, is how you cook them, right? That matters. If you're going to scramble eggs, don't scramble them in butter. Use extra virgin olive oil. Now you actually get the benefit of the polyphenols from the extra virgin olive oil. You can even better yet, just boil the eggs, all right? Boiled eggs are something that I really, really love. One of the things that I love to do is I love hard-boiled eggs. So you can use a timer and figure out how long it takes to get the egg whites solid and the egg yolk solid. Crack it, okay, and peel it. And then you can add a little bit of salt to the top of it, and you can just eat it. Take little bites. It's a perfect way to actually have protein, bioactives, and healthy fats for breakfast. Now, if you want a culinary twist, a lot of people don't know this, but if you actually peel your egg, your hard-boiled egg, all right, bite the top off, just like the little tip, the cap. Now you got a little egg yolk choke. Now, guess what? Take some low-sodium soy sauce, you know, the kind you'd find in the grocery store, and add a little soy sauce to it. Now eat that. Now try that. It's salty. It's got the umami from soy sauce. It's an amazing, tasty way of making an egg really, really delicious. So whether you're boiling the egg or scrambling the egg, if you're actually going to add a little bit of salt, don't add too much salt. If you're going to use soy sauce, don't use too much soy sauce. All right. So eggs on my checklist of good, just make sure you're preparing them in a healthy way. And don't eat too many of them. Eat 5 a week is just fine. And get the good kind of eggs.
Dr. Lee recommends eggs because they're an easy B12-rich option that boosts energy and supports cancer prevention. Eggs are a breakfast classic for a reason. They're affordable, versatile, and loaded with nutrients. The B12 in the yolk helps your body produce energy and keeps your brain humming, while the protein keeps you full. Toss in some spinach, and you've got a meal that powers you up fast. Eggs are special because they bring more than just a quick boost. They've got compounds that may protect your health. According to a review in Poultry Science, eggs have special proteins and pieces that can help fight cancer. Scientists studied how these egg proteins work against cancer. For example, one protein called cystatin can stop cancer cells from spreading by reducing the activity of certain enzymes that help them move. Another protein, lysozyme, can help boost the immune system, which fights off diseases, including cancer. The review also talks about phosphatin, which can stop the growth of cancer cells and protect DNA from damage. Additionally, a type of egg antibody called IgY can help trigger the death of certain cancer cells. This makes them a no-brainer for anyone wanting to feel good and stay strong. You can whip them up in minutes with whatever's in your fridge, keeping costs low and value high. Here's a budget-friendly egg scramble with spinach recipe you can easily incorporate into your diet. Crack 2 eggs into a bowl. Buy in bulk for the best price, and whisk with a splash of water or milk. Heat a small pan with a dab of butter or oil, then add a handful of fresh or frozen spinach. Frozen is cheaper and just as nutritious. Pour in the eggs, season with salt and pepper, and scramble until cooked through. Serve as is or with a slice of toast. This fast, B12-rich dish is a tasty way to kickstart your day with energy and health benefits. Sardines.
Now, I wrote about seafoods in my book, Eat to Beat Your Diets. And so we're going to actually talk about what are some of the nuggets of information that I got from the research for that book. First, why is seafood healthy? Well, it turns out that many kinds of seafood have healthy marine omega-3 fatty acids. These are healthy fats that are found in fish and other types of seafood, as I'm about to show you. And this is the reason why it's good for you. Now, what does omega-3 do? Omega-3s are Mother Nature's natural anti-inflammatory substances. They also help to maintain healthy circulation. They assist the lining of your blood vessels, the endothelial cells, to be as healthy as possible so your blood can flow smoothly. They protect the stem cells that are in your body. We all have stem cells that are naturally found in our body, and these stem cells are important for tissue repair, regeneration, so we heal ourselves from the inside out. Omega-3s protect those cells to keep them as viable and vital as possible for regenerative healing. Omega-3 is also good for gut microbiome. They happen to be very good for gut health, keeping your healthy gut bacteria very happy. And that means it's good for your metabolism as well. The other thing that omega-3s do is help your immune system. So if you tally that list up of all the things that omega-3s do, that tells you why you want to actually eat seafood. Now, what are the best sources of marine omega-3 fatty acids? Well, you've probably heard about it, like tuna and salmon and oily fish. And it's true that marine fish are the best sources of omega-3s. Now, if you're a vegan, you can actually get it from plant-based sources as well, like chia seeds, but that's actually not directly omega-3s. That's from a precursor that your body has metabolized, and you get a lot more omega-3s if you actually eat seafood, okay? Now, you've probably heard people say, eat lower on the food chain because the bigger fish have more likely to have heavy metals like mercury in them. And that's true. That's why you got to be careful about eating swordfish and tuna and some of these larger fish. But then people say, oh, eat really low in the food chain like anchovies and sardines and mackerels. Now, I actually happen to like sardines and mackerel, all right? But not everybody does. And here's the thing. Sardines and mackerel are not the only ways that you can get healthy omega-3s in seafood.
Dr. Lee recommends sardines because they're a B12-packed powerhouse that boosts energy and helps fight cancer. These tiny fish might not look fancy, but they're loaded with nutrients. Think B12 for stamina, omega-3s for brain power, and protein to keep you going. If you're feeling run down, sardines can give you that quick pick-me-up without much fuss. What sets sardines apart is their ability to energize you while supporting your body's defenses. According to a review in the International Journal of Pharmacy and Biological Sciences, a study looked at how fatty acids from two types of sardines, Sardinella longiceps and Sardinella fimbriata, can help fight cancer. Researchers tested extracts from these fish on two types of cancer cells, breast cancer and prostate cancer. They found that the fish oils had strong effects on killing these cancer cells, with one type of sardine being more effective at lower amounts. The researchers believe that eating sardines, which are rich in special fats called omega-3 fatty acids, could help reduce the risk of cancers like breast and prostate cancer. They think these fats can make cancer cells less able to grow while not harming normal cells. This makes them a budget-friendly gem. Canned sardines are cheap, shelf-stable, and ready to eat. Add them to simple meals for a flavor boost and a health upgrade. They're perfect for anyone who wants big benefits without big effort. Here's a budget-friendly sardine toast recipe you can easily incorporate into your diet. Grab a can of sardines in water or oil. Store brands are super affordable. Toast a slice of bread, whatever's on hand works. Then mash the sardines with a fork and spread them on top. Add a squeeze of lemon juice or a sprinkle of black pepper for zing. If you've got it, toss on some chopped parsley or a few capers for extra flair. This quick, B12-rich snack is tasty, cheap, and keeps your energy humming all day. Chicken thigh skewers.
Proteins are the building blocks of life. They're critical if you actually want to live long and if you want to prosper, thrive. Because as we age, we lose protein and muscle mass. Now, losing muscle mass is actually a setup for becoming frail and less mobile, which cuts into your lifespan. So you need to actually keep your protein in and build it up with exercise, and that's the same as being a bodybuilder. Now think about maintaining strength during aging as bodybuilding over the course of a lifetime. So up to the age of 40, you should be eating about 50 to 60 grams of protein per day for the average size person. And between the ages of 40 and 50, that's above the age of 40, you start losing muscle mass. An example you might see is think about the older person that you might have seen in your life, somebody with really, really thin arms or really, really thin legs. Their body might actually be looking okay, but you can tell they're actually losing muscle mass. This is called sarcopenia, and it increases the risk of falls, where you can break a hip or worse. And falling is actually the precipitating event for older adults who are living independently, where after a fall, especially if they break their hips, They can't manage anymore by themselves. They've lost their independence and they need assisted living or a caregiver to be able to get around safely. So you don't want to become frail. You don't want to actually fall. If you're going to live long, you want to be able to live as independently as possible. And developing that strength, keeping up that muscle mass is absolutely critical. So adding protein to your diet after the age of 40, somewhere between 75 to 90 grams of protein a day is kind of where you want to aim at. Now, every person is different, which is why it's called personalized nutrition. So there's no one hard number that you want to actually stick to. And if you're physically active, you might even need more protein. And as I was saying before, you need protein and the use of your muscles, exercise, in order to be able to actually benefit from that added protein intake. So if you want to do this right, I suggest consulting a trained nutritionist and explaining that you're trying to optimize your protein goals. And this will be useful because they'll help you calculate the right amount of protein that's tailored to you, tailored to your body size, to your physical activity, to your other health conditions you might have, and other factors. And that's why I'm not giving you a black and white single number that you need to hit, because everybody's different when it comes to the amount of protein that they need. So what are some of the best sources of protein to help you towards longevity? Well, meat is a good source of protein. You know, beef, pork, chicken, duck, fish, shellfish, all good sources of protein. For example, a 3-ounce serving of beef has about 20 grams of protein. A 3-ounce serving of chicken breast has about 25 to 26 grams of protein, even a little bit more than beef. Ground pork has about 22 grams of protein per 3-ounce serving, about the same amount as ground turkey. But we know that in the end, that eating large amounts of red meat, not healthy in the long run. So we're talking about beef here. And longevity is all about the long game. So I encourage you to think about other sources of protein besides red meat. As I mentioned, seafood is another source of protein. For example, salmon is a good source of protein, as well as a good source of omega-3 fatty acids, which are good for longevity. A 3-ounce serving of salmon has about 22 grams of protein, about the same amount as turkey. And cod, which is a mild white flesh fish, has about 19 grams per 3-ounce serving, and it's actually got a good healthy amount of omega-3s as well. Now, clinical studies of both salmon and cod show that these types of seafood are good for your metabolism. Through their omega-3s, they can help you burn harmful body fat, which reduces visceral fat, the kind of fat in the tube of your body, and actually lowers inflammation as well.
Dr. Lee recommends chicken thighs because they're a delicious B12-rich choice that fuels your body and supports cancer prevention. Chicken thighs bring a decent dose of B12 to keep your energy steady. Plus, they're juicy, flavorful, and packed with protein to power you through your day. Unlike leaner cuts, they've got a bit more fat for satisfaction without going overboard. According to a review in Nutrients, eating chicken thighs can be good for our health. The review examined many studies to see how eating chicken, especially thighs, affects important health areas like weight, heart disease, and diabetes. The studies found that chicken thighs are packed with high-quality protein and nutrients. Protein is essential because it helps build and repair our body's tissues, and it's important for growth. When chicken thighs are included in a healthy diet, they can help manage body weight, meaning they can support people who are trying to stay fit or lose weight. Research shows that eating lean chicken, like thighs, may help people maintain a healthy body while also providing energy. When looking at heart health, the evidence from studies suggests that consuming lean poultry, such as chicken thighs, does not negatively affect the heart. In fact, people who eat chicken as part of a balanced diet may have a lower risk of heart diseases. As for diabetes, the review revealed that eating chicken thighs might help control blood sugar levels. Some studies showed that when people eat chicken along with other foods, it can improve how their bodies respond to sugar. This is particularly helpful for those who are at risk for diabetes or want to manage the condition. That's why they're a smart pick. They're affordable, versatile, and easy to cook. Grill them, bake them, or toss them in a pan. They're a no-stress way to feel great. Here's a budget-friendly chicken thigh skewers recipe you can easily incorporate into your diet. Buy bone-in, skin-on chicken thighs. They're cheaper than boneless and just as tasty. Cut into bite-sized chunks, then season with salt, pepper, and a pinch of paprika or garlic powder. Thread onto skewers, or skip them and cook loose in a pan. Grill or bake at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 minutes until cooked through. Serve with a side of rice or veggies from your fridge. These hearty B12 packed skewers are simple, affordable, and give you a lasting energy boost.